Okay, so we're live. So welcome to the DeFi and the Future of Finance session today. My name is Raoul Milhado. I am the CEO of Elitium. We have Alejandro here, Alexander, and Vladimir. Welcome, guys. Maybe quickly, I'm currently in Amsterdam. Alejandro, where are you in the world right now?
In Dublin.
You're Dublin. Alexander, where are you?
I'm in Tallinn, Estonia.
Wonderful. And Vladimir?
Moscow.
Wonderful. It looks like you're in the most beautiful area from the three of us. You're outside.
Yeah.
Beautiful, guys. So today we're going to talk mainly about decentralized finance, aka DeFi, and of course, because DeFi is going to change everything. We're going to first do a quick round of who everybody is, what's your focus, what's your background. And I really want to learn more from you guys. What is your current focus in the world of DeFi? But we're really going to speak about the future of decentralized finance as well. Would love to start with you, Alejandro. Please tell a little bit more about yourself, your background, and what's your focus in DeFi, and we take it from there.
Definitely. Thank you very much, Raoul. Alejandro Gutierrez is my name. I am the co-founder and COO of Defactor. My background, as everybody in this industry, you have a previous life. So mine was in supply chain management, supply chain finance. I did a lot of consulting for the multiple projects when I was in Australia. And in 2017, I moved into Dublin and started to explore in the blockchain space, mainly in the traceability and sustainability point of view. And from there, another company that I am a founder that is called Console Freight. We're starting to provide trade finance services using physical assets as collateral, using funding from the DeFi space. One of our partners is Centrifuge, so we have a pool that is used actually for this type of trade and inventory finances purposes. So as you can see, like my focus on the DeFi space is from the funding or finding sources of liquidity, right, for the traditional companies to be able to tap into the DeFi space and any other type of new business that is coming as a result of these new digital economies.
So thank you very much. But so there are probably people here that never heard of DeFi or they want to learn more, right? So can you make it more concrete? So you saying physical assets, connecting that to DeFi, just for someone that never heard of this whole new area, how would you describe that and what are you working on?
Yeah, definitely. So the DeFi space, when it was created, was to using crypto assets, be locking them, and provide services on those crypto assets, say funds. So you can just structure different type of services around those crypto assets. What we are doing actually is, instead of using crypto assets to have access to those funds, we are using real world assets, meaning invoices, goods that are, for example, trapped in a container, inventory that is parked in a warehouse. So putting that as a collateral and digitizing it, right, we're going to be able to extract funds from the DeFi space. Defactor specializing actually in providing all the tools required for as originators to be able to tap into the DeFi, because this is fairly new, so it's not that easy for as originators or companies that want to just access that liquidity. And usually what happens, like, this company need to just change completely the current operations. So Defactor is there just to help. It's that middle layer that is helping companies to just tap into the DeFi space.
Got it. That's very helpful. Okay. I'll come back to you in a few minutes. I'll give the word to Alexander. How's your journey so far in the blockchain space? How did you end up in the blockchain space? And what's your specialty in the world of DeFi?
First of all, I would like to introduce myself, I think. So my name is Alexander Zaytsev. I'm one of the co-founders and the CEO of a company which is called Raison Finance. doing business as Raison. We are a unique mobile platform, currently mobile-only platform for the retail customers, providing the opportunities to invest in private equity ideas, which are structured on digital ledger technologies. Basically, this is the decentralized finance opportunities. And we do use these DLT technologies to offer them to entry unique private equity markets with a very low entry tickets. So basically, I started to work in finance in 2008. I worked for major brokerage houses, and I'm currently one of the co-owners of traditional investment advisors regulated by U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. But 3 years ago, I think we started the project which is called Raison to allow the customers to enter those markets which are not available for them because of different limits and because of high entry tickets and so on. So our main opinion regarding the usage of digital ledger technologies, blockchain technologies, is that this technology could allow the customers, could allow us, not only us, could allow all the financial sector to democratize its products and allow to offer these products to lots of customers all over the world. So basically, we are looking at DeFi as a very unique opportunity and very useful and economically effective opportunity to provide the services to those customers which cannot get those customers because of the different barriers, high costs, and so on. So basically, that's it. Answering your question, how we are moving on DeFi and on blockchain. So we are moving great right now. We are growing pretty fast because we found the solution which is useful for those customers, and we solve the problems, and they're how to say, we offer them those opportunities which they are looking for. So basically, we do understand that the traditional markets, traditional investment markets like stock exchanges, different banking products, credit products, and so on, should move to DLT because this option basically and ridiculously allows to decentralize and to allows to democratize the services to lots of the customers all over the world. We're using DLT to make traditional investments in private equity funds more cost effective. So usage of digital ledger technologies allows us to lower the entrance tickets as we are lowering very great the administrative fees. So I'm sure that the future of finance is not based, but it's deeply connected to decentralization. And I hope that lots of traditional players, like I already mentioned, exchanges, like banks, brokerage houses, will move to decentralized economy and will introduce their products on digital ledgers. So that's my opinion.
Great. And sorry, no, that's fine. But how many years do you think this will, the banks, for example, right? The big banks will start to explore DeFi. I mean, we're in a stage where they start accepting Bitcoin, they start to promote it to their top clients. But how do you see this in the future happening with DeFi? How long is this going to take?
Yeah, it's a great question. Basically, there are lots. Just give me a second. I'll turn on this on. So basically, there are lots of opinions of what is decentralized finance and how should it work. My main overview of the high usage of DeFi is the transition of traditional stock markets to DeFi, as already Nasdaq doing and trying to do in Baltics. So as I can see, the question is very big. So stop me if I will go somewhere. So as I can see, basically there is no need for all those counterparties which are currently used in the scenario of, for example, purchasing or selling publicly traded stocks, because under the hood there are lots of counterparties, like, for example, clearing houses, stock exchange, custodians, and so on, so on, so on. So all of these things are generating additional risks for the markets in general. For the customers, it generates additional fees on the customers, and so on. And in my opinion, of course, the market of shares and all investment instruments could be based on digital ledger technologies, could be based on blockchain, because this is an I think really great instrument to build those markets. But answering your question, how long could it take? Because there are lots of those counterparties. If we are moving to the blockchain, we'll have the situation when those counterparties are out of business. So basically, if we'll use DLT as some kind of a ledger for all operations, for assuring the customer's owns on the securities and so on, so there will be no need, for example, to have a clearing house and so on.
Sorry to interrupt you, because we need to give the word to Vladimir.
Yeah, sure.
So give me a rough number. Do you think it's 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? What is your? Just give me a number.
I hope that we could have it in a couple of years, but to be honest, I think 5 years is some kind of a more
more realistic.
Yeah, more realistic way.
That means that your company, Alejandro company, my company, everybody in this room, our companies still have an early mover advantage at the moment, because the enterprises, they don't even have the knowledge that we have today.
Sure.
I think my conclusion. Sorry to interrupt, but I really want to give the word to Vladimir as well. Vladimir, sorry for letting you wait. Please tell us a little bit more about yourself, what you're up to. Inspire us.
Yeah, hi everyone. So to be short, I started financial technology maybe in 2008. I've been responsible for the development of platform for trading across multiple exchanges, multiple currencies, multiple assets across the world. The name of the company is Exante. It still exists. We entered the blockchain space in 2015. We've built the first Bitcoin fund in the world, the first centralized custody for institutionals and other investors. Later on, we added some other cryptocurrencies, but my main area of interest as a developer was always blockchain itself as a technology. So a couple years ago, I joined the guys who build the blockchain Freeton. We launched on May 2020. So without any ICOs, so to say, fair launch, like Ethereum did, or maybe they did ICO. Maybe I'm wrong, but Bitcoin was probably the first fair launch. And later on, we made an alliance. We'll call it DeFi Alliance. It's about a couple of initial members. They gathered together to build DeFi products on top of Ton blockchain, Freeton blockchain. So the website is tonalliance.org. It's really kind of DAO managed. I can't say that there is someone who's leading the project. There are 5, 6 initial members who are participating, and the big product and project up to is tonswap.io. So we try to build the centralized exchange, kind of like Uniswap, but with added capability for farming and fundraising. So we try to make a new twist on DEX future, let's say. That's the most interesting stuff. Of course, we're doing a lot of small stuff, building the wallets, building different infrastructure for validation. We are validating, all the initial members are validating the network, obviously. And I hope that we'll be in top 100 this year on CoinMarketCap. We are in CoinGecko on 140 or something place right now. So we are just getting the traction. And of course, you should ask what's the difference with Ethereum and other networks. And it's a good question. Thank you. The main one is cheap transactions and low latency. And it's done every day. And it's really fascinating because whether I send the tons or stable coins on TODs, it costs nothing, like fraction of cents, and it happens almost instantaneously. But then it takes a couple seconds to commit the transaction. And it's really new way of feeling how blockchain can work.
Let me ask you also a real question then. I mean, Ethereum is obviously not just the technology, it's also the network, right? The people that are using it, and therefore DeFi is strong because of the Ethereum network. You need both the borrowers and the lenders in order to have the, the basic DeFi piece running. How do you see that, for example, with your own blockchain or other blockchains? How do you see the future of DeFi? Is it because at the moment it's all based on Ethereum? How do you see the future of it?
It's another good question. I see it as we see right now. The most popular networks, they, including Ethereum, they try to be backward compatible with Ethereum. So they try the good one, for sure. Binance Smart Chain is another good example. And of course, because of the huge number of people involved in the Ethereum community, this is going to be the trend for this year, for the next year probably. But we also see the new coming projects like Polkadot, like Solana, Avalanche, Freeton, including. And the way I see it, and the way we did it, we built the bridge between Ethereum and Ton. So the liquidity can go from one blockchain to another. The reason for this is if you want something more cheap, low, with a little bit different capabilities of blockchain, you can transfer your liquidity to such a blockchain layer 2 solution. Or the obvious example, you can do some tokens of new projects or the blockchain itself in these blockchains. So another way is backward compatible blockchains with Ethereum, but those that have bridges to pass the liquidity from one blockchain to another. So that's the main products we're working right now. So we build the bridge so that Ethereum liquidity can come to Freeton. And our main idea is that if you want to make a microtransaction service, you be able to accept stable coins like USDT, but for fraction of cents, feel free to come to in decentralized fashion through the DEX without central authority, and have cheap transactions.
That makes a lot of sense on the hybrid models. I think that's going to be the future as well. I think you guys are working on a great project. I met a few of your colleagues in Dubai a few months ago, together with Michael from GDA.
Yes.
I would love to talk to Alejandro because personally, I believe in DeFi, CeFi, right? Decentralized finance technology, but centralized finance organization, combining that to offer ultimate experience to clients. Because at the end of the day, guys, we're talking about financial products, right? So if me, like personally, if there's something with my money, I want to be able to call someone, or at least to have someone on the other side of the computer on the table and tell me like, hey, this is going wrong, or you have to do this, or you know, that you need support because it's about, you know, your money, your assets. So how do you see that, Alejandro, from, you know, from your perspective, from what you're doing with your company, and how do you see the future? Do you see the DeFi, CeFi? Do you think it's going to be way more decentralized as it is not today, or how do you see that?
Yeah, look, I think it's a mix, right? I think it's a hybrid of both stuff. So when you're starting including real world assets, where it gets a little bit more tricky to have a full-on decentralized process, especially in early days of the creation of these DAOs, for example. So our plan is to be a DAO, and definitely are going to be a lot of components that will be fully decentralized. There are some other ones that at some point needs to be some sort of centralization, especially when you are doing provenance of goods, or that you are actually doing due diligence or assessment of validation of those real good assets, right? Because at the moment, I don't think the technology is there to be able to just do evaluation of goods in a decentralized manner, right? So the idea that we have, right, is like because the DeFi is basically that technology is going to allow us to tap into the funds that have been put in the crypto space, right? So the idea that we have is, look, in order for companies that need liquidity, and there are a lot of traditional companies that are out there that are in huge need of liquidity. Let's just go into the trade finance, for example. Like there is a $1.6 trillion gap at the moment in trade finance services. That was pre-COVID, right? Like they're doing some studies, and it's coming to the conclusion that post-COVID, that's going to be from $5 to $6 trillion, which is a huge opportunity for DeFi, right? Because if the traditional companies or traditional institutions are not actually willing, or they are not in a capacity to be lending to the trade finance space, well, DeFi is there and it's a good opportunity. So what we want to do in a way is like, okay, let's give tools to these companies, right? Like the TradFi or the CeFi to be coming into this space, into the DeFi space, using those funds and allocations, right? Give stability as well to the DeFi space, because that's one of the good things about the real world assets. It's going to provide stability. At the moment, crypto is still really unstable, right? And that instability just give fluctuations, and some of those protocols are going or having issues, like as you know, like what happened to, for example, Maker. And that's the reason why Maker now is trying to just onboarding now more and more real world assets, because it's going to do two things, as I say, stability, but also it's going to be able to extend that market share, right? At the moment that market share is centralized into a crypto. If we take this outside, you're going to be just talking about trillions and trillions of dollars in different markets. As I say, trade finance is only $1.something trillion in the gap, but like international trades, it's at $13 trillion per se. So when you're starting getting those volumes, you will be able to provide, or you're going to be able to cement the position of DeFi as a player in the finance space, right? And I think that's what our protocol is trying to achieve.
Yeah, I do agree. So that's a very good answer, and I hope also the audience is following what we're all discussing here. I have actually a question for Alexander as well, as you've been in the traditional finance space since 2008, right?
Yeah.
Look at it from a asset management perspective, right? And as asset manager is exploring Bitcoin, they can either go to Grayscale, like looking at a fund, or they can just decide to start investing themselves. But how do they look at DeFi, and do you think DeFi is ready to, for institutional money as well?
Oh, it's a great question. I think the traditional asset managers are not ready for DeFi at all right now. There are some, of course, there are some examples which are out of the basic line of some kind of traditional market players, which are trying to implement DeFi in some operations, for example, regarding the onboarding processes and so on. But it's not, how to say, basically a fully DeFi DeFi opportunities which they are using. It's a very difficult question. I would prefer to add some to the first one, because I have a real to the question which you asked, Alejandro, because we have a real practice regarding the CeFi and DeFi implementations. So basically, we have we already catch the problem that the customers, the majority of the customers, do not understand what is DeFi at all. So they do need some kind of a provider which will introduce those DeFi services to them. And basically, we are building our current product on the model when we have some kind of a unique solution, which is represented as a DeFi token with a difficult, some kind of a difficult infrastructure. Using a couple of smart contracts, but to make it work, we are looking and we are working with a couple of resellers who also implement these smart contracts onto their platforms, and it allows us to create some kind of a real stock market between the customers on different platforms, using the single instrument. So, for example, we issued a smart contract on SpaceX underlying. So we purchased the SpaceX shares of SpaceX via our regulated fund. Then we tokenized the units of the fund, and we distributed it to the customers via our platform firstly, and then we got some resellers who passed our due diligence process, and they implemented this smart contract to their platforms. And that thing allowed the customers using the centralized financial provider to work with decentralized instruments. So basically, in my humble opinion, we cannot say that DeFi in the couple of next years will be moving forward fast if there will be no centralized providers.
Makes a lot of sense. I completely agree.
Yeah, because it's very difficult for the majority of the private persons, for the private customers, to understand how to work with MetaMask, with cold wallet, and so on.
Actually, it's a very good topic I want to bring to the table for the last, I don't know, I think we have like 8 minutes left. So this is the first question to Vladimir, but I will also ask the same question to Alexander and Alejandro. So for the people that are looking and that are watching this panel, Vladimir, if people want to start exploring, investigating, and potentially investing into DeFi, we mentioned a few platforms, right? MakerDAO, Binance, whatsoever. What are you using yourself, and what would you recommend for people to start, exploring DeFi and start to put some money in to get equivalent with the technology?
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, MetaMask, Uniswap, and other swap platforms, MakerDAO, Aave, they become much more friendly, like for the past couple of years. So I can recommend it just as with crypto. If you feel safe working with non-custodial solutions, then you should do it, because you get all the benefits of the crypto. If you don't, and this is the majority, I agree with that, that's where CeFi comes in. Or Alexander gave a good example, anything which works in the real world, but you want to trade it in DeFi fashion, you will need CeFi counterparty, exactly the product that they try to do. And that's why I try to agree with him that CeFi facilitates adoption of DeFi. And I hope that myself, I try to use non-custodial solutions because I believe in the ideology of crypto and authority-free blockchains, etc. But products, when I needed this gateway to the real world, or sometimes a good example for using exchanges can be just the breadth of instruments you can get on a good exchange like Binance. Of course, you can hardly get it exchanges including Uniswap, because those are very focused on the Ethereum ecosystem. Of course, this gap will be narrowing with the time. We are building now the infrastructure with bridges to narrow this gap between CeFi, possibilities of CeFi and DeFi. But it will take time, 2-3 years, my expectations, before this gap becomes as narrow as possible. But for now, I think that if a person knows how to use non-custodial solutions, non-custodial wallets, MetaMask, Uniswap, PancakeSwap, SushSwap, is not a problem. Even Curve, those are the products that a normal person can use. Because I'm a normal person, I had to go through this learning curve to understand how it works, and it's not that difficult.
Thank you, Vladimir. Alejandro, what's your take on this?
Yeah, no, good. Look, I think, I agree with Vladimir. Like all those ones that he mentioned, they are good. I would like to add to that Centrifuge. Centrifuge is a fantastic protocol. What they are trying to achieve is outstanding, and it says that bridge to the real world assets, right? Just creating that pipe that you can tap on and have the chance. If you have some funds that are idle, well, you can just put them over there to just create some benefits, which is good. Actually, they are doing the launch of their token, I think, today. So it'll be interesting how that's going to be going. There is a point I would like to add on it. Like if we want to create adoption, there are two components that for me are critical. As Alexander is saying, one is education. I think it's our duty for people that are working in this space just to keep just explaining how this works and what is required, but also is going to be UI, UX, and just making things easier for people. I don't think at the moment DeFi is there, and I think we need to work more on it, right? Because most of the things are focused on the deep tech and smart contracts and how those funds are structured, but not really in the end user. And I think that's what is missing.
Well, I want to make a point about it. I think you're completely right, because I think the problem from us as the pioneers in the blockchain space is we talk too technical. We keep talking about blockchains and a lot of correlated words that are very technical for people. At the moment, I start to explain to someone stablecoin, and I just try to make it in the most simple language. That's one thing, right? People like follow. It's dollar backed by digital dollar backed by real dollar. But when at the moment I start to talk about like the technology behind it, they're off. And I think that's kind of our problem. Why we should, like, if I'm using an Apple right now, do I care about the software that's behind the Apple? No, I do care that that I'm on the screen right now. I'm talking to you guys. I don't care about the streaming mechanism or the software, the hardware that's behind it. So my opinion is, yes, it's the UX UI, but we also need to find a new way of translating and changing the verbiage into something that people can understand. So even DeFi for us, it's a normal term. 99.99% in the world have never heard of DeFi, right? So that's already where it goes wrong. So I think education is one thing, UX is another thing, but also let's try, all of us, right, pioneers in this blockchain world, let's try to simplify and not become too technical, too fast. Just, focus on the solution, not just on the beautiful technology which we all love behind it, because they don't care. They just want to.
Yeah, technology is just an enabler. Technology is no more than that, right? Like if you ask, for example, our customers, they don't even care if the money is coming from the blockchain. Well, they will have, because KYC, MAF, by all that component, but they couldn't care less, right? If they're getting at the end of the transaction fiat, they don't care where it's coming, right? In a way, they just want usability and something that is feasible for them to scale and to streamline their processes, period.
Yeah,
I do agree, and I can confirm that our customers do not, the majority of our customers do not want to know how it's working under the hood. They do want the great UX experience and yields on the exit of the idea.
exactly.
And
yeah, go ahead, Flip.
yeah, I wanted to give a practical example of how we are working on simplifying this thing. So we have a project with one of the biggest non-custodial wallets on mobile called Lumi, and we plan to add the summer staking mechanism and farming mechanism and some of the DeFi mechanism directly into the wallet. And I think this as well will narrow the gap of adoption for general users who will just have it and with couple clicks get access to DeFi product. So I'm looking optimistic. We're working on it. It will just take time.
I agree, and I think that one of the lessons from what we're doing with our product today is pitching it to, and not pitching, but showing the demo or showing the the whole flow to people that come from the traditional finance world. Obviously, it's not for everyone. It's still financial business, but like getting the feedback from people that have been in banking for 30 years, because a lot of what we're doing, it's very similar what's been being done in the past 50 years. We're not. It's just in a new way. It's through blockchain. It's through DeFi, but we're reinventing it. But at the same time, we're also repeating, or a lot of the financial models are being just restructured. So for them, if they understand and they see the bridge, they see, hey, this is just like what we used to do back in the days in the banks, but now it's based on the new technology. They will understand it much better, and they would rather invest in it because they understand the value of it.
Look, I think that's a fair point, right? And one of the components that probably as innovators we need to think about is the fact that those structures are there, right? And it's interesting because, well, they have been proven and they work. But now that we have this new technology, can we do things and structure things in a better way, right? That, for example, we are spreading risk across different structures and entities. So in that case, you can lower the barriers of entry for people to get access to funding.
Yeah.
And this is what DLT will give us a chance, right? It's super easy just to replicate what is happening in the traditional financial world. Yeah, it's there, but I think it's good as well just get out of that box of what has been already proven and try different methodologies, try different structures, and try to make this access to funding a bit more democratic, right? It's just provide more access to people that are in real need.
Totally agree, and this is where this is one of the biggest opportunities, in my opinion, when it comes down to decentralized finance, because at the moment that we're gonna give access to people all over the world, right? The third world countries, so to say, and they have access to finance, and that's a whole new audience and a whole new economy, right? So, but I was referring to more like the type of investors that we want to attract to become part of our products, of our solutions. For them, it's a way to to understand it because they already know about it. But for the whole new audience, I agree with you. It's time for new solutions, and we also have to make a better financial system, because the one from today is in my opinion, not something we can be really proud of. So we have to do it better anyway, and we now have the opportunity to do so. I think we're out of time. You already left. Vladimir already left. Probably has another meeting or so. I want to thank you, Alejandro and Alexander. Vladimir's back.
Vladimir's back. Yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah. Pleasure, Raoul. Thank you very much.
It was a great pleasure. I think that this conference is very useful to provide the ideas of those things we are speaking about.
Yeah.
to push it. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much.